So we were dropping the radiator out, and my son reached over to my toolbox and he pulled out a pair of pliers I've had since I was young. And I stole the pliers from my dad. And I stole them from my dad because they were his dad's pliers. So I look over and my son, the great grandson of Ferris, he's standing there pulling a pair of pliers out. I'm like, no, not that one. No, not that one. Yeah, that one. And they were the perfect pliers. And I use, every time I hold his pliers, I get transported back in time. And it's the same way with pocket knives of this caliber. Here we go. This is the original drawing of the Praetorian, my very first sketch. I know we're not doing the Praetorian, but you can kind of see how I do stuff. And there's the Praetorian I made. And then there's the Boa P, back when I used to pencil sketch. And some tomahawks. Knife I drew up for DSK. So DSK Tactical made this knife. I drew it up for him first, whatever we called that. Well, this is the infraction, not the first, this is my first rendering of the infraction, but, and this was, I forget what I called this knife, but this was the first sketch. This is one I never made. I started to make this, never ended up kind of doing it. This is where my first fixed blade, the Navarre T, which is sitting over on the table. I'd made that knife and then drew this up after I made the knife. I'll show you the original Marauder drawing. We're going to get to it because it's right here. This is the original Eris sketch that I did with a pencil. Blah, 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 blah. This is an invention I came up with for grinding shoulders. And this was the original sketch for the concept before I did a CAD drawing of it. This is what we use out on the floor right now to grind every shoulder of every knife that's ever been made here on this one tool. This is my concept for the Marauder in its first drawing configuration. You can see I've not worked out all the lock mechanisms and everything at this point, but it's kind of getting close. This is the first sketch of the Marauder. Very, very crude. The Marauder here we'll talk about today. This is a knife that's near and dear to my heart. I used to call it the Scottie Pippen of my lineup because it was kind of in the shadow of my Praetorian. I came up with a knife design that was so radical and so differentiating, it kind of stole the oxygen in the room. But quietly over the years, this knife's just sat chugging along in the background. This is the original size. This one here has been pimped out a little bit. The thickness on this blade is 260 thousandths of an inch, just over 1/4 of an inch. Blades are 3/16" titanium. Everything else is titanium. This one's been sculpted and anodized. And I was making this for warfighters who were bashing on things, prying on things, cutting, stabbing, and then collectors who jumped into the market. Then I said, well, okay, let's make a slightly lighter version. Let's make something that's a little less artsy. Let's make something that's got a little more panache to it. Came up with our Marauder H. We've done some things to make it a little more ergonomic. You always have been able to get this blade in either drop point or tanto, and this was our first version doing it. Basically what I called a balanced knife, 3/16, 3/16, 3/16, all the major slabs. And now we start to bring knives to the general population. It's like, man, that's so big. I wish I had a knife like that I could carry that's a little smaller. The Slim Midi, what's great about this knife is it disappears in your pocket. It's got a really simple mechanism. For those of you who don't know, this is called a frame lock. When you have handle scales on the outside and a thin layer of metal, that's called a liner lock. Similar concept, the frame lock, it's the lock mechanism is a sprung, cut, relieved part of the actual handle itself of the frame. So you have a frame here, you have a presentation side, and you have a lock side with the clip on it. It's got an over travel limiter, which keeps you from unspringing it too much. And then this locks in a little bit of interference angle with the lock shoulder on the back of the blade. So the spring and handle are a set, and then we fit the blade to them with this little grinding fixture that I made, and we get this perfect engagement every single time. You're going to have all these choices out in the marketplace. You know, axis lock and radius lock and cross pin locks and button locks and this lock and that lock and lockety dockety do. I do a frame lock. Here's why I do it most of the time. It's simple, it works. The harder you grab the knife, the harder it locks. And improvisationally, if it gets fouled, if you drop it in the mud, if you're using it in the rain, I literally dropped my knife while I was cutting the radiator hose in the dirt because we had pulled the truck off the road to a safe spot off the road just a couple weeks ago. I completely dropped the knife down in the dirt. And I mean, it was just covered in dust. And I picked up my knife, I took my bottle of water, I literally squirted off my knife in my bottle of water, I dried it off of my t-shirt, and I just kept going like nothing happened. And then my knife worked perfectly. Now when I got home, I cleaned it up a little bit, but my point is, this mechanism, this style of lock is simple, it's very hardy. Is it the strongest locking thing in the knife industry? Absolutely not. It's one of the most practical. And the thing about knives is everything's a trade-off. The Marauder, what's great about this knife is it's really good at everything. It is a fantastic all-around knife for either your gentleman style carry, your tradesman, your rancher, first responder. It's got a very small print, and if you're a guy that wears dress clothes, or maybe you don't wear tactical or utility type clothing, this is so light and so unobtrusive. You can wear it with your regular, more professional clothing, and it won't print. You won't look like some weirdo dork carrying around a big boat anchor in your pocket. You know, I do these videos so you can learn what we do, you can garner our expertise, and you can vet us, because we know what we're doing. And then you can make an informed decision. What you should do if you walk around and call yourself a man, you should have a knife in your pocket. You should have one, you know how it works, you know why it works, you know what it's good for, you kind of know where it came from, who made it, and you know that I've got your back if something goes wrong with it over the years. Tools that you have for a very long time become sentimental, and they become part of us. You carry this knife around, you'll carry it around for years. Your kids will see it with you. When you're laying in your coffin, someone's going to whisper to mom, "Hey, where's Dad's pocket knife?" Your life's fine without this knife. It's a really safe world. But your life's better with the knife. It's better because you're the guy constantly who has that preparedness, the tool, that little bit of extra. When I see guys that don't carry pocket knives, I shrug my shoulders like, oh, what are they thinking? They got to call AAA. That's the Marauder. Really fun knife.